Hi, and welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. On this week's show, Rutgers University out in front in testing for a new COVID-19 vaccine, and they're looking for volunteers in New Jersey. We have the details from the doctor in charge. When New Jersey children return to school, they may be required to get a flu shot if a new bill passes. We'll talk to the author, Assemblyman Herb Conaway. The gas tax goes up 9 cents a gallon this fall, but the man who represents New Jersey's gas stations says we could save money if people would pump their own gas. And couldn't we all use a visit from the booze fairy? We'll explain. But first, my interview with Dr. Shobha Swaminathan, Medical Director for Infectious Diseases at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I know it's a busy time for you, and it's an exciting time, especially for Rutgers and for the state of New Jersey, because you're going to be testing one of the vaccines that's in phase 3. Can you talk to us about that?
Good morning, Larry, and thank you for having me on the show. Yes, we are very excited to be a site for the phase 3 Moderna mRNA vaccine trial for COVID-19. As you know, COVID-19 pandemic has hit the entire country, but especially our community very hard. And we want to do anything we can to make our community safe again. And I think vaccine is going to be a big part of how we can all together emerge from this pandemic successfully.
So many questions surrounding the vaccine, but let's start with volunteers. Are you still looking for volunteers for your study?
Yes, we enrolled our first few volunteers yesterday, and we are actively looking for people who want to participate in the study, be part of science from all across the state.
And how many do you have so far, and how many do you need?
The study overall, nationwide, the study is looking to enroll 30,000 participants. As of last week, nationwide, over 17,000 people were already enrolled. At our site, we are looking to enroll, up to 500 people if we can get them.
I guess the big question from a lot of people is how fast are we going to have a vaccine? And I know science takes its time, and this has already gone faster than any vaccine in history. So you looking for volunteers right now, does that mean you're in the very beginning of this phase 3?
We have started enrollment for the phase 3 trial, but I do want to comment about the speed.
Okay.
But because people have raised concerns, and I want to emphasize that no safety measures have been compromised. The integrity of the clinical research and science remains intact. Participants in phase 1 and phase 2 trials have not had serious adverse events, which is why the phase 3 studies have been ongoing and have been allowed to be enrolled. There is an independent data safety and monitoring board that reviews side effects among all participants to ensure their safety, to make sure that is not compromised. That remains the centerpiece and the core of our research values.
I guess the concern was when the FDA talked about fast tracking and getting this out faster. I would imagine that's on their end, not your end, right?
Right, so there is an approval process that the FDA, rightly so, needs to review, because their role is to review the science and the evidence that's presented to them, make sure it's balanced before it's available for the general public. And I think it depends on how quickly we as scientists and researchers, in conjunction with our participants, can give the information so that they can make the appropriate decision using science. Because at the end of the day, science is what will help us answer those questions. And they can definitely expedite the paperwork and the time it will take for them to review the evidence. But the evidence remains key to finding the answer.
Right. So that's not going to affect your study whatsoever. It doesn't affect the conclusions whatsoever. The conclusions are the conclusions. You follow the science, and you are going to take whatever time it takes to get through your phase 3. There's no speeding up of that process.
No, because we have to let the science speak for itself, because if not, we run the risk of people not trusting it, and we don't want that. We want people to trust the science because there is too much at stake. There is a global pandemic on hand that's affecting millions of lives and that has killed hundreds of thousands. So we want to make sure we get this right.
If everything and I know you so please ignore the question if you'd like to, because I know you don't like to deal with these type of timelines, but I'm going to ask anyway. You've just started your phase 3. If everything goes well, when would the Moderna vaccine be available?
It really, I don't know. It depends on a lot of different factors. To prove that a vaccine is effective, it boils down to, does the vaccine help prevent the number of cases of COVID-19 in the group that got the vaccine versus the group that got the placebo? So it also depends on how many cases there are of COVID-19 in the community that will affect the number of cases in both of those arms. So it's possible that we may get the answer within a few months, maybe by the end of this year. It's also possible that it might take a little longer. It really boils down to proving that the vaccine is actually effective in preventing COVID-19 cases in the vaccine arm compared to the placebo.
And finally, what this means not only to the state of New Jersey, but to Rutgers, it seems that the university's stature has risen during this pandemic because you've been involved in so many studies and now the study of a vaccine. I'm sure you feel that there.
Larry, I've been working in Newark for over 16 years now. I feel strongly about our community. And this has given us an opportunity to give back to the community beyond just the vaccine, just starting back to when the global pandemic started, making sure we are able to offer cutting-edge treatment to patients who might benefit from it, and offering a clinical trial participation for vaccines for volunteers who might be interested all across the state, because ultimately we want this to benefit everybody in the state of New Jersey.
We would love to talk to you again as you get closer to the end, or if you can't do it then, when you finish this, just to talk about Rutgers' role in all of this.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to do that.
Dr. Sobha Swaminathan, Medical Director of Infectious Diseases at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. When Jersey Matters continues, is a new vaccination controversy brewing in Trenton? We'll explain when Jersey Matters comes right back.